And good morning and welcome to the VSA Capital 5 Minute Morning Mining. It's Friday. We've made it at last. Friday the 12th of August. It's been a long week. How you doing, Paul?
I'm all right, thank you. It was a hot night sleeping, though, that's for sure.
Well, I was asleep during it, so I didn't notice. Best thing to do is just sleep through it. Anyway, let's turn to mining this morning. I wouldn't say there's anything that's really rocking my boat this morning, but why don't you start with, we've had some interims out of Wheaton Precious Metals, which is sort of listed all over the place, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And that includes, it is listed here in London now as well. Major royalty company. Key point there is they've had the gold production down by 14.6% here on a year-on-year basis in their interims released. 149 million in dollars in adjusted net earnings. Revenue was off by 6.8% to 302 million, and they have reduced their guidance for the year because of some production shortfalls in places like the Salabo mine, from which they receive a royalty. They did, however, say that this is probably just a relatively temporary blip for current quarters, and that their 5-year outlook would suggest that their annual production should increase to 820,000 gold equivalent ounces from the estimate for this year, which would be something above 640,000 ounces. So it's a little bit disappointing, I would say, for the investors here for this year, but it isn't something which is really serious in the longer view for Wheaton.
Yeah, it's a good business, Wheaton. I don't know if you saw, Paul, but also in the FT there's an article about Glencore cutting ties with a Chinese trader because they basically ripped them off $500 million worth of copper. I'm sure that Glencore, being Glencore, will manage to get the money back somehow. But clearly, the Chinese are in a bit of a mess at the moment, full stop. And it looks as though, one of the Chinese, the Chinese copper traders apparently aren't returning calls. But watch out for that. It could disrupt the copper market. I know we were talking about it yesterday on the copper price.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. What else we got? We had some updated resource from Base Resources, didn't we?
Yes, we did. The Base Resources dual listed, both ASX and London here, mineral sands producer in Mozambique with a very large, very, very large deposit that they would like to get finally permitted in Madagascar. This resource and reserve update essentially takes account for the production from the Kwale South Dune deposit that had taken place here in the past year. So that mineral resource is reduced on the South Dune deposits by 26 million tons, which contained about 0.9 million tons of heavy minerals. Reserves are reduced by 18 million tons in that same resource area. At the same time, they actually increased the Renobi mineral resources on the Toliara deposit there in Madagascar to something in the order of 1 billion tons at 6% heavy minerals. And I need to point out here that this thing is massive. It's about 3 times the grade of the current Mozambique resources of Base Resources, which are running low now as far as operating life is concerned. So this Toliara deposit in Madagascar is the future for Base Resources, and yet the mining license grant has not yet been issued.
Madagascar is a very complicated country to do business in, Paul. It's a beautiful country, amazing, but very difficult to do business in.
I would agree with that, having been there myself, and it does have some really significant resources in various places, but it's the government which needs to become much more astute, I guess, and skilled, I guess, in handling their resources for the benefit of the nation as well as the world trade in that part of the world.
It has some of the highest grades in the world. It's incredible. But I think it's fair to say that there's still a lot of, unfortunately, bribery and corruption there. And the money doesn't go to the people of Madagascar. It tends just to go one or two people in government. Anyway, we don't need to get into a political rant this morning. Bad enough looking at UK politics. Anything else you want to discuss, Paul?
Oh, just to say that Caracal Gold has some new shares coming on to become free trading on the London Stock Exchange. All this part of the deal for the transaction they made as announced back in December. And they do have a prospectus. They are preparing for a further 117 million shares to be issued as part of that transaction.
Just for clarification, everybody listening, we are the advisor to Caracal, but we are not doing the prospectus. Okay, let's call it a day there, Paul. Enjoy the weekend. Don't get too hot. Try and get some sleep. And we'll speak again next week.
Very good. See you then.